even more regional variants. Welcome back to the Croneo region, my Fakemon region based on Scotland and parts of Canada. This is the second and final video dedicated to Coronian forms. There will be some more that will pop up here and there, but this is the last one of that specific theme. So let's start with Cronian Roselia and Roserade. I'm leaving out Budgie because I felt like it didn't really have anything to add to the concept. They're grass fighting, and clearly based on the thistle, Scotland's national flower. It's even the subject of our unofficial national anthem, Flower of Scotland. I felt like switching out roses for thistles made a lot of sense, and this line was an obvious candidate for regional variants. Thistles are non-toxic, but like roses are prickly, so I guess switching out poison for fighting makes sense. To have a more solid theme, I had a look at Roserade's other inspiration of masquerade balls, which are dance events, which made me think of another kind of dancing event, Ceilidhs. So that's why they look like they're dancing. I mean, Hisuian Lilligant proves that dancing is a justification for the fighting type, and I'm going all in with that. I think these two turned out perfectly, and I don't think there's anything else to say. Sticking with the grass theme, here's Coronian Durant. It is now bug grass type, but I've given it my new ability, Exoskeleton, which makes the Pokemon receive half the damage it normally would. There's a species of ant in Scotland called the wood ant, and since Durant is an ant made of metal, I just switched the material and made it a pun. I realised that if I change Durant, I need to change Heatmore, so I made one of Heatmore, but I'm not ready to show it yet. But soon though, keep your eyes peeled. Another Unova Pokemon variant is that of the Pawniard line, now Steel Fairy. Scotland has a fairly large Christian population, and a history involving the religion. We were once a nation of Catholics, and then the Protestant Reformation happened, which I recommend reading more about, because I think anything to do with Mary Queen of Scots is very interesting. Because they are worshipping something holy, they are now wearing white. And they have black shinies because all three members of the line, at least in English, are named after chess pieces. Its blades are now stained glass to reference churches. Pawniard is a monk, Bisharp is now a real bishop, and Kingambit is now a pope, just with all the cross insignia being replaced by Arceus imagery. Keeping in with Kingambit's intimidating demeanour allows for commentary on organised religion having corruption within its structure, which can be seen where those at the lowest level seem to have a more pure faith, yet the higher up they get, the more crazy they get. I think this is an interesting idea, and I'm not sure if Pokemon would dare to do it, but it's not as if other JRPGs haven't gone, Western organised religion is the bad guy. Another Paldea-inspired line in the Croneo region is Cronian Fido and Cronian Dachsbun. They're based on the Ku-Shi, or Ku-Sith, or however you pronounce it. If that sounds familiar to long-time viewers, that is because it is the dog version of the Cat-Shi, which is what inspired the Ocat line. If they bark, the people who hear it, which could be anyone since it could be heard from out at sea, have to reach safety by the third bark, or they die. So they definitely know Perish Song, but they wouldn't be Ghost type. I didn't make Ocat Ghost type, and I've already got a lot of Ghost types. It's also not particularly malicious, so dark doesn't really fit either in my opinion. Instead, since the Ku-Shi have dark shaggy green coats and live in boggy areas around the Highlands, known for their luscious green fields and mountains, why not just make them grass type to reference all that? Monograss too, since I don't really have as many monotypes as I probably should, and it mirrors both the original Fido line as well as the Ocat line. I know I don't have to do this, heck, I've turned monotype Pokemon dual typed in their variants before. I don't know, just for some reason my instinct is monograss. Cronian Noctowl is a weird one. I've ditched both normal and flying in favour of ice and psychic. This wouldn't feel too out of place if I did the same to Hoothoot, but my justification is since we have Cubone and Alolan Marowak, it doesn't really matter too much. Plus, what's its normal type actually doing? So what's it based on? Meets the Gallic mythological figure, the Cailleach. In Scotland, she's called Bera, Queen of Winter. Already we can see a lot of dots connecting, with the ice typing being connected to winter, and Noctowl's time theme also being represented as winter is a time of year. She was a divine hag who had associations with creating the landscape such as the mountains and hills, as well as the weather, especially winter storms. The reason why an owl fits a Cailleachmon is that the Gallic term for owl has the word Cailleach in it. Speaking of names, the name Cailleach itself comes from the Old Irish of Veiled One, which would fit the majesty of most ice types, but also spooky like some psychic types. Wait, I've not really mentioned why I made it psychic type. I think it fits the supernatural and creator deity vibe, but the Gallic terms for wise woman and fortune teller also come from Cailleach. I also needed to balance the types out a bit more, considering I have a bajillion ghost types and this could easily be psychic type, which is my least abundant type as of writing. I think this is a very interesting way of tackling Noctowl. Also, Snow Snowy owls are a thing, and that's not been a Pokemon yet. If you're enjoying this video so far, why not leave a like and subscribe and check out my other videos. If you want to see all of the Croneo Pokemon in one place, why not check out my Instagram? If you want to talk to other Croneo fans, why not join my Discord server? If you want to go the extra mile and help support this series, why not subscribe to my Patreon? I would really appreciate the help, but it is completely optional. Now back on to speaking about regional variants. Time for one of those abundant ghost types I was on about. In a previous video I covered the Blitzel line, making them based on the Kelpie, which is a water horse from Scottish mythology. Now how I say a water horse, since there's a lot. That being said, Coronian Mudbray is not a water type, it's mono ghost. This is because a friend of mine suggested the idea of a headless horseman, a mythological figure in Irish and Scottish mythology. I know it's more Irish, but I'd likely bring it back if I made an Irish region. Anyways, it usually has a whip resembling a human spine, so that's Mudbray's tail now, and sometimes even the horse is depicted as headless, so that's why we executed the design the way we did. The evolution was originally designed to be a variant of Mudsdale, but I felt the final design didn't really fit a variant of it, and to me, it felt more like a regional evolution. So, Doomsdale is a ghost water type, with its name coming from Doom and Clydesdale. It is a water horse, particularly the Noctowl. I probably butchered that. It's a horse demon coming from Orcadian myth. Ghost or dark could really fit, but my idea for Mudbray fit ghost more, plus it's specifically a water horse, confined by the Mother of the Sea during warmer months. I like to think this Mother of the Sea is Manaphy, but more on that in another video. Depictions of the Noctowl are gross, so Doomsdale is too. It is also depicted as having a sort of rider on it. I like to think the ghostly head of Mudbray became the spirit rider, meaning said spirit is Doomsdale itself. The quote-unquote Mudsdale head is actually fake, which can be seen with its lack of eyes. Speaking of, Noctowl are Cyclops, meaning they only have one eye. Doomsdale therefore only has one eye. This might honestly be the creepiest looking mon in my entire decks, and I love it. And also, due to the mirroring types, I've decided Doomsdale and Cronian Zebstrika are version exclusive. So I turned the Dino line into tanks. Their original design was actually going to be based on tanks according to Ken Sugimori, but now I've decided to bring this idea back. Dino is an old-fashioned tank based on Leonardo da Vinci's original idea behind it. Zweilous is based on more contemporary tanks, and Hydreigon is meant to be more futuristic. Hydrogen powered in every way. It also resembles Iron Jugulus, but only because tanks are mechanical, and so are the future Paradox Pokemon. I suppose those paranormal magazines must have found an egg with Hydreigon and Cronian Hydreigon as parents. So what are tanks doing in Croneo? Scotland helped develop some of the first tanks used in warfare, and unfortunately improved versions of said tanks were deployed against a violent demonstration in Glasgow. As we can see, tanks have been used not just by the UK but for the world for over a century since then, and will likely be used until we stop deciding to kill each other. Which is why the whole line has a sort of timeline progression aspect, past, present and future, like the main legendary trio. Theming is important after all. On a more cheery note, did you know that penicillin was discovered by a Scottish scientist? I decided to make a regional variant of Naganadel based on it, so it can be the Nurse Joy Pokemon. A regional variant of an Ultra Beast? How can that be? Considering enough Ultra Wormholes pop up even outside of Alola, it makes sense that a population of Poipole would settle, and since they're non-native, they can adapt, either through their current state or learning a new move, Vaccinate, which heals allies or damages opponents depending on which you target, healing status conditions in the process. It could evolve into a weird alternative Naganadel, which is now fairy instead of dragon. I felt this made sense due to penicillin having the option to be injected, and when I think needle Pokemon, this is my first thought. And also for the first antibiotic discovered being by a Scot, it being thematic as well as important to the world of medicine, made this a must for me. Also, the saline drip and hypodermic needles were also invented by Scottish people, hence their inclusion in the design. Other Scottish contributions to medicine are the discovery of insulin, the vaccine to the human papillomavirus, and pioneering in the field of anesthetics. This makes Cronian Naganadel the ultimate medical Pokemon for Croneo. And that's it for Cronian regional variants, bar about a dozen of them. What? They fit more of the other videos. Did you like the ones in this video? Comment below which ones are your favourites. And I'll see you next time for, yes, more regional variants, but more specifically themed. See you guys then.